Hello everybody, this is a couple of videos that I have not edited until today, which is April 6th. This was from March 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. All these three videos were from those days. This one was the 21st. I'm working on softening his head, letting him drop it down a little bit here. I really like having my horses have nice soft head and necks. So I work a lot on dropping the head down and turning the neck in, flexing their neck a little bit because this makes them a little bit more relaxed, and that's what I like to have. So I worked a lot on that very quickly, as much fast as I could. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. If you notice, he was a little bit sticky, but he did end up softening at one point, so that was good. If you notice here, just when he releases and gives me his head, and doesn't just hold the pressure, just release. That's how I teach my horses to soften their head. That's all I really asked for them to do. Later on, I'll start to make it go a little bit lower, but you just want to release on the slightest tries when you're doing this, because it's not the easiest thing for them to understand, because all you're doing is just holding pressure to their head and they're just trying to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to do here? So yeah, you want to just give as much pressure and then just release it all as soon as they drop their head and release on the pressure, because you're just kind of holding it there, steady pressure, and then you want to release right away. So right here was a very, very slight try because he more turned his head rather than putting it down, but I still released it because what I feel is when they kind of release, you don't have that tension on their lead rope anymore. So that's when they release, even with the slightest try, is when a little bit of tension is released. So he started to get pretty good on softening his head. And then I wanted to move on to a little bit of getting started on touching his legs and kind of just rubbing stuff on his legs and letting him feel to start to pick up his legs. He was not a big fan of things touching his feet or his legs. He was not a big fan of that at all. That was probably his most difficult thing so far I've had to do with him. I mean, it wasn't really hard, but it was his more difficult stuff. But yeah, so here I was just kind of rubbing the end of my whip on his leg to kind of just get him to feel that feeling of something rubbing his leg without me having to get my body or my head or anything down in that area, and him maybe getting frightened by it, and it's just less pressure on him at the beginning also. So his biggest thing was he just wanted to kind of get away from it, so I would try my best to not release whenever he would pick up his foot and kick like he just did there. But sometimes you want to try to get it before they do it, and it's just a lot of watching. You can notice whenever he's about ready to pick up his leg and kick it or something, he'll put more pressure on the other leg instead of that leg, so I have to watch for that. And then not only that, he was he was just not necessarily happy about it, so he just had to learn that touching the leg isn't as bad as he thinks it is. He just didn't like the feeling of it, which is totally normal. Very, very normal. He just, it was just something that he just didn't like very much. Then I moved on to his back legs after I started getting good with the front legs, and his back legs were his more difficult once we actually started really picking his legs up, or when I started to go down further. But because it's just something that's really normal also, usually their back legs are a little bit more difficult than their front legs. Here I probably should have not released as well. Here I didn't release and he moved over and he kept moving. I didn't release until he stopped moving, because I didn't want him to think that him moving away from me was going to cause the pressure to go away, because that would cause him to do that whenever I'm trying to actually pick up his feet, which would not be what I would ask or really necessarily want. So we just worked a little bit on that. I got ourselves situated again to get back into the area where we were working on, And yeah, everything just kind of started to get a little bit better. We just were slowly progressing on and on and on. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure that he could stay as comfortable as possible. And I was watching for signs of if he was not very comfortable. And I would give him lots of brain breaks, is what I like to call them, because this was very difficult for him. So yeah, that's what I was kind of doing here, and I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because I just kind of wanted you guys to know what I was doing and why I was just rubbing something on his leg. And then here, he kind of really started to relax a lot, and I was pretty happy about that. What I wanted to see at the end of the day was just a nice, relaxed little Mustang that would just kind of let me touch his legs, and that's when I know it's about time to be done, because he was getting nice and relaxed, and I was very happy to see that. So he wasn't kicking at his legs anymore. He was still paying attention to me, but he was like nice and relaxed and wasn't really bothered by it anymore. So that was something that was very nice for me to see. And then we pretty much ended the session right around this time, and yeah, that's what we did. I did a couple more times and it ended it, so yeah. Okay, so this was the 22nd. This was the first day I started picking up his feet. I went back and did the things that I did the day before, worked on a lot of that, and then I went back and then I went and tried picking up his feet for the first time. He did wonderful with his front feet. His back feet were a little bit more questionable. He was still, I'm not sure, but he still did a wonderful job, and we just worked a lot on it that day, and yeah. I don't have all the footage of me working with his feet and his back feet because it took a really long time to get him comfortable with his back feet, so I only just added a couple clips, and my phone died before he really started to get comfortable, which is sad because I really wanted to show that, but yeah, so it just has videos of him kind of kicking his feet out a little bit whenever I try to pick it up, so I just went back and forth and just tried to slowly get to the point where he was okay with it. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing here, and it's really short video here. Yeah, it was just a lot of continuous work until we got to the point where he was comfortable. That was pretty much all I did that day. Okay, so this was the 23rd. This is really early in the morning because I had a Liberty Clinic with Asher that day. So instead, we just had to do it extremely early in the morning. That's why this one is right in the middle of the day. So I just worked on picking up his feet, and you could tell he's a lot more comfortable this day. So we just did a little bit on that, and then I started working on pivoting him. I like the pivot. I like the shoulder control that comes from the pivot. And I just like teaching my horses all the pivoting and my equines because all my equines know how to do them. And yeah, pivots are really nice to know, and I think it looks nice, and it's also nice shoulder control, which is why I teach it. So yeah, this is what I'm doing, and we just didn't do way too much this day. But yeah, this is what we did, and that's it.